Hey, welcome back to HTML5 web design tutorial. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about web design organization and best practices. So let's talk about source of graphics. So on your website, you're going to have graphics for the logo, the banner, even the buttons can sometimes be a graphic rather than text. So you could either create these using Adobe Photoshop, GIMP, etc., or you could download them from a website. You could either buy them or they could be for free. Usually any kind of custom thing you're going to have to pay for. You could take photos with the camera. Original photography is really big right now. You just got to make sure that you scale down the size of your image, because these high definition cameras, the images are very large in size. So, or you could hire a graphic designer to make you a custom image. Yeah, so your best bet for a professional business or website is to go ahead and pay a graphic designer. And you can actually find them for very cheap online at Fiverr.com. You know, instead of paying someone at your nearest town or whatever $1,000, you could actually pay someone $50-200 online, and they'll do just as good of a job. So now we're going to talk about organization. So a clearly defined homepage is super important for any website, and this is called hierarchical organization. So you see, we have a home, and then from that home, it links to an about, a contact, products. That's the navigation. And then from there could be other categories. So this website is going to be your vast majority of websites. You know, I would say 95% of websites are going to be hierarchical organization, just like you see right here. And yeah, all commercial sites, corporate sites, they're all going to be using this right here. The next one would be linear organization. And this would be more for like a tutorial website or an educational website, where you kind of have different pages that are, you know, going from, like, it could be videos or articles, and you're just kind of hitting next, next, next. You know, there's actually newer ways to do this now. They don't usually link this way. They can embed everything on one page and use JavaScript and other advanced tools to do this now. But yeah, this is called linear organization, just so you've seen it. And a random organization, sometimes called web organization. Usually there's no clear path throughout the site, and you know, this is generally something you want to avoid. Definitely not used for commercial sites, and it might be used with, you know, an artistic or concept site, something, you know, not professional in nature. So okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you this. This is the home page, the hierarchical organization. And as you can see, we have index page at the top. That's the home page. And that's why we have index.html. That's always going to be your home page. And then we have the main sections. That will be our navigation. And then from there, there's subsections, and that's all content. So you have your index, your navigation, and then content is linked through that. So now I'm going to talk about principles of visual design. So you want to make sure repetition is on your site. So you want to make sure when you're designing, there is the same nav bar, colors, etc. for every single page. You don't want to have the nav bar on the left and then at the top on another page. That is very unprofessional, and for the most part, people don't really do that anymore. But when HTML and CSS was, you know, being learned and people were making sites, you know, 10 years ago, there was a lot of websites that did not have much repetition. So contrast draws attention in that it's interesting. This is primarily with colors. So you want to, you know, that's more of a graphic design type of deal there. And proximity, related items close together. Yeah, so if it was like a sport website, you don't want to have the roster and the season statistics in two totally different areas. You know, you want to keep all the things about that team really close. Now I'm going to talk about the alignment. So each element should have some alignment with another element on the page. If not, different browsers can show things differently and things can get messed up. So that's just a good principle. That's just a good rule of thumb to always make sure each element has some kind of alignment. Okay, so writing for the web. So people generally scan web pages. So this means you should always use headings, subheadings, brief paragraphs, and lists. So also Search engine optimization looks at this as well. They look to see if you're using headings, subheadings, and they look at the words you're using in those subheadings, so then they could better determine if your content is what that person queried for in the search engine. So large blocks of text are very difficult to read. You want to make sure that you're splitting up your content. If you ever see a blog or any kind of modern how-to article, you'll notice that they space a lot. There's a lot of space in between the words. I mean, sometimes every sentence or two, they're going to the next line, which is, a new paragraph tag. And that's a good way to do it because people are scanning. A lot of times they're reading on the cell phone. So you don't want a big block of little text. You want it to be, just go to any modern website and look how they structure their stuff next time. And then also you want to keep the reading level around 8th grade or lower. You don't want to be using a bunch of extravagant words, a bunch of filler words, a bunch of pablum. You want to keep everything very simple, concise, and to the point because people want to read things quickly online and they want to get to the point or they're going to hit the back arrow. Okay, so choosing colors, you can use a monochromatic color scheme, which is a color scheme based on along with gray or black. You could base colors off of a logo or a picture. So if you have a company logo, I would suggest basing your colors of your website off of that. And colors are really up to you. I mean, certain colors look better with others, and you can kind of use a color wheel or, some kind of color chart to help you with that. And I have a few of them listed right here. You could just Google, how to choose colors for the web, and I'm sure there'll be a ton of stuff that comes up. But if not, these are two very good tools as well. And graphics multimedia, you want to make sure anytime you have a logo, a picture, anything, you want to keep the size of that file very low. And the way you do that, let's say I take a picture with my camera, I would open that up in Photoshop and click Save for the web. And you can add a blur a little bit, like a 0.02 blur. And you'll notice it drops the size down a lot. So if I have a 500 kilobyte picture or a 100 kilobyte picture, I want to drop that down, to megabytes. I want to drop that down to something smaller without distorting the picture entirely. Okay, so navigation. You always want to have a navigation bar on every single web page you have. People need to be able to navigate. And you could also use graphics as your navigation bar. So instead of having a text-based navigation bar, you could actually have an image there that has text on it. So if you have a very artsy website, that's another way to do it as well. Dynamic navigation is helpful. So this would be like if you have a hover navigation. So I hover my mouse and something drops down. And then I can hover something over that and there might be another arrow pointing to something else. So dynamic navigation is helpful. It's always a best practice to have a sitemap on your website. And it's good to have one for the search engine and one for people. So if someone wants to just see your whole website, see everything laid out, they can just click the sitemap and kind of see everything all in one space. And you can simply Google how to make a sitemap. It's very easy. And then breadcrumb navigation is also very good to have, and so is the site search. And I'm going to show you that right here. So breadcrumb navigation is what you see on the screen now. So you see first level, second level, third level, location. So this is kind of what this person had to click through to finally get to introducing Joomla, the location they're at now. And they could, let's say they want to go back and not hit the back arrow twice. They can just go up here and click server-side coding, or they can go back and click home. So breadcrumb navigation, we've all seen it, is very helpful. And then at the top you see there they have a search box, and then that's also very helpful as well. People can just search for something on your site that they remember. It's all about convenience and user experience. So now I'm going to talk about page layout design. So a wireframe is a sketch or blueprint of a website. This includes things like the logo, the navigation, the content area, the footer, and usually people wireframe a website before they actually start making it. And a lot of times a customer can even draw it on a paper, or people can make it in Photoshop and then turn that into HTML, CSS. But this is like kind of an advanced wireframe. And if you notice in the top left corner, that's going to be the logo. They're going to have some kind of picture right there in the middle. They have their navigation at the top, and then they have another menu on the left. They have a search bar. If you notice, like everything is placed exactly how a good website would look. So this is the wireframe. And then HTML and CSS would be based off of this, what we see right here. Here is also a wireframe, and this one is handwritten, and there's some notes there. But as you can see, they're just kind of charting out how the website's going to look. That's a way to do it as well. So now I'm going to talk about the page layout techniques. So the ICE design is a solid or fixed design, and this hugs the left margin and has a fixed width. So the Jello design is used a lot more. This is a centered website design and usually a percentage width of the screen, such as 80%. So that way, if the screen size changes, the actual website will change as well, the width of the website. So this is what's used most of the time now, especially with mobile phones and tablets and different size laptop, desktop screens. Then there's something called liquid design, which is also used pretty frequently, and this is designed to take up the entire screen regardless of the screen resolution. So I would say Jello design and liquid design are the two commonly most used in today's world. Okay, and I want to mention mobile design. So half the people on the web right now, or more than half actually, are navigating with cell phones. So responsive websites are really important, and what responsive means is the website screen changes with the screen size. So if I have a website and I open up on my phone, if it's not designed to be responsive, then I'm going to have to scroll to see the whole website. And people hate that, especially now that most people have responsive sites. If you don't have it, you're really setting yourself back. So there's actually a lot of tools to help you here. So instead of making a responsive website from nothing, there's a lot of pre-made CSS themes and frameworks like Bootstrap to easily make responsive sites. So you can kind of use a framework and build on top of that, and it kind of takes all the boring mobile work out of the equation. It's already done for you. It's very fast and efficient, and that's the choice that a lot of people are making to use today. And other things I wanted to mention is you never want to have a website where somebody has to scroll horizontally. Also, you want to make sure your website is really fast. So the way to check that is you can go to this website or just Google page speed insights test. And essentially what this does is tell you how fast your website is. I mean, there's some websites, I've seen WordPress sites where people have spent thousands of dollars creating their website, and it takes 7-8 seconds to load. And if you run it through the Google's page speed insights test, it will tell you why that website is so slow, or why your website is slow, or why it's fast. And it also will tell you the difference between the mobile phone and the desktop speed as well, which is really important. So you want to make sure your website is fast, because that will help you rank, and it'll make sure people don't leave for the wrong reasons. So also, you want to make sure your most important content is at the top of the site. It's kind of like the newspaper above the fold. The most important story is above the fold of the paper. And you want to make sure your site works in multiple browsers. A simple way to do that is to have a few different browsers, open up your site in each one, or there's online tests that will make sure your code works on all the different browsers, and you can just Google that. So that's all I got for you today. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment and like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe for future video notifications. Feel free to donate by clicking the PayPal donation link below in the description. Visit our website at freecomputerhelp.net for programming tips, installation guides, and more.